Today is the 10th of May, 2020, and it's a Saturday. And I say Saturday, I'm sorry, it's a Sunday, and I'm your host and presenter, Prince Emil Krumari, come to una live from the United Kingdom, and we get a very special guest. But before I come to that special guest, I just want to make sure the chat room is okay. And, as lively as it can be, as usual, I asked everybody, please, we just begin developing 17, close to 20. If we can share, that would be appreciated. And please, yes, Brother Melvin, how are you? How you doing? I hope everybody can get me loud and clear. Straight to the guest, and the guest is none other than the Eastern Region Chairman. I repeat, the Eastern Region Chairman for the Coalition for Change, the C4C. Okay, C4C. None other than Rev Dr. Moses Tumbay. So, maybe we just try to go straight to the Reverend and see whether we will come on straight away. Let we talk about real issues, running issues in the country, beginning with the president's speech, and then why Dr. Sam Sumana left the C4C, how they see him, whether he come back. Okay, so Reverend Dr. Tumbay, welcome to the program. Then now I just want to introduce you as the Eastern Region Chairman for the Coalition for Change C4C, and the whole audience don't hear you. Of course, it just begin to develop, but pretty soon we know say the number will generate, and we'll get a lot of people watching both now and then later. So welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. May I just make some clarification? I'm not a Eastern Region Chairman for the Coalition for Change C4C, but rather I am the Eastern Region Publicity Secretary for the Coalition for Change C4C. That implies that I'm the Public Relations Officer. I'm the face of my political party representing the Eastern Region or the Eastern Bloc. I'm the PR. I'm serving as the face of my political party, squarely to represent the Eastern Region of the Great Coalition for Change, C4C. So I decided for just make that clarification before we continue, sir.
Absolutely, I do appreciate the correction. And not good for make mistake, because then mistake then they can come for me. So I really appreciate the fact that you make the correction today. So to the audience, apologize. It was done in error, the introduction, but the man himself don't correct him. So in other words, he's still a very powerful man, because now the face for the third biggest, largest party in the country, the Coalition for Change, and in the PRO. So without much ado, sir, let's just go straight to the point.
Sure.
We get a few issues they will want to discuss, and this interview might last between 30 minutes and 45 minutes, hopefully.
Okay.
So this is it. The first thing I want to ask you now.
Are we going to do it in Creole or in English? Well, what?
We go to flow in and out, sir, because on this platform we get foreign nationals. Then we can also watch me. Okay. So we go to flow. So we go do them justice as well. But largely because we speak to a domestic audience, the larger part of it go there in Creole. But please, please, we still get some foreign nationals the way they watch we, and let we do them justice. But here's the point, sir. Many things that happen in the country as we speak. Many things. They talk about politically, socially, and economically. And the country seems to be a kind of divided country. And then they ask you for assess that part of it, because this is something where we know where they happen on a daily basis. And that prompts the president for come out, I think 2 days ago, when he made a speech, the long-awaited speech. So many people already follow the president religiously, way trust him and embrace him. This was like a psalm to them. This was like a Bible figuratively to them. Yeah. But for others, and especially I believe the larger majority, they were really disappointed at the president's speech. Now, from an opposition view, a major party in view, I want to let you help for dissect the president in speech, because now this platform, we see him in two folds. One was domestic, now the president in speech, and the other was for international audience when he brand other people as terrorists, okay?
What are you view
Yeah.
from an opposition perspective in terms of the president in speech?
Thank you very much, my brother, for having me, and those who are viewing us now. It's very much important, the issue of the recent speech of our president a day or two, and it's like the speech don't bring a lot of bone of contention, and is a popular gossip now. Is a wide range of discussion. It gets to the entire basis. It gets to public places. It's been discussed so much. The speech of the president. I'm talking about the most recent speech of the president, and there are certain issues why the speech of the president don't in the spotlight. It don't become a kind of a chewing gum. It don't become a kind of a discussing something, and it's what discussing to a very large extent. Just like some people they view on this the speech made by the president. It's like there are certain aspects of the speech of the president where it not go down well with a lot of people. And I've just been reading a press release from the APC, and it's like the bullet said about 18 or more points with regards in address to the speech made by His Excellency. And the APC party made it clear that they are not terrorists, but rather they are what? Registered, recognized political party. In fact, the major opposition party in the well of parliament, where they don't contribute for the furtherance and development of Sierra Leone. And they raised a lot of concerns that are being described by the number one gentleman, nobody has than the president, as a terrorist political party. It not go down well with the leadership of the APC. It not go down well with the leadership of even other political parties, some other ordinary Sierra Leoneans. Because when you look at the description, you understand, the definition of a terrorist, APC supporters or leadership cannot fit into that one. So I just don't go through, I don't peruse through that one. And even as an opposition man, a PR, the speech of the president, I was dumbfounded. I was shocked when I heard about a few dictions. Some of we will get basic knowledge in literature and grammar or English language. I'm very conscious of diction, and diction tells you about choice of words. Choice of words, very, very important in communication. One should be very mindful of a choice of words. And there's a particular area wherein I look at the words. He emphasized with emphatic emphasis that his government will hit hard and even harder until this battle is won, and it should be won. And as peace expert, or with me little knowledge when I get in peace and conflict, you cannot fight for peace, but you seek peace. And even when I was fortunate to be on the radio today, but unfortunately the program did not continue. I made it clear that you don't fight to enhance peace. You seek to enhance peace. That is to say, from a peace and conflict point of view, fire need a hot fire, but rather water or sand and hot fire. So I'm not trying to demean or to decry the speech of the president, but as a man with a little knowledge in the use of diction, some of the words used at this material time, we are too hard. We are too hard and we are too harsh. And I not see by any means if some of the dictions used can able bring peace, can able establish peace, can able enhance peace. Instead of bringing peace, some of them words used, some of the dictions used, instead of bringing peace, but it go lead to more internal strifes. It go lead to more political strifes and political unrest. Because if you look at a very big formidable political party describing the membership as alleged that they are terrorists, wherein they are not a terrorist, and they have a very large following, they have a very powerful leadership, that is to say, I may not want to hide that one. APC is a very formidable political party with a very wider membership. And if at the beginning gets them came information and the membership, you understand, it not go down well with a lot of members of the APC, and they also will begin to think negative. And you cannot enhance peace with through the use of force, through the use of the bullets, you understand? But rather, you can enhance peace by seeking peace, by setting a platform, you understand? Setting a genuine platform. And also peace not come by hypocrisy, pretending that you want national cohesion. This is not something you should do pretentiously. It's not a pretext something. It must be seen. It must be reflective. It must be candid. It must be genuine. It must be a very sincere motive, a very sincere drive. And you must be working towards it. You understand? And you want to establish peace, but you're undermining the basics, the basic structures, you understand? The fundamental structures that are keeping this peace, or that are responsible to hold the peace together. You cannot establish peace and you're undermining the same peace effort. You are working towards peace as per se, but you are the same person undermining the same institutions that are responsible to uphold the peace. How do you expect to get peace? And underneath, you are undermining the institutions who are supposed to foster the peace, who are supposed to uphold the peace, who are supposed to keep the peace going. So that's what I'm saying. When you want to establish peace, you seeking the peace must be very genuine. Number one. Number two, when you are seeking peace, you must be very sincere. It must be objective. It must have a kind of a blueprint, things you want to achieve. You understand? And when you want to talk about peace, both parties or all parties should be involved squarely. You understand? The views, they understand the views, the aspirations, the concerns, the contributions of others should be taken into cognizance. That's what we talk about peace. The views, even of the depressed, the oppressed, bring them on board, have their views, have their aspirations, their concerns, and you address them legitimately. It should not be pretending as if you want to address their plight and their concerns. And according to the press release I read out from the APC, they have been trying to reach out to the president. They have got a kind of 1 or 2 meetings with the president, and they signed a communique. But since then, much has not been done to ensure that the communique that was signed, they start to work on the communique. So which means we are pretending as if we want to achieve peace, but indeed we are still undermining the institutions.
Wow.
The very institutions that are supposed to open peace. So in conclusion, quickly, people are looking at the speech of the president, that it was nice, but there are certain dictions used that were not appropriate in the eyes of many people out there. And as an opposition man, C4C, I may want to say also some of the dictions we are too hard, if not harder.
Yeah, yes, absolutely, sir. And you see, this is exactly why we bring you kind of the platform for help for dissect the president in speech. And
sure,
I'm not sure who else can do it better than you've done so far. So I'm not finished with that. Yeah, I'm not finished with that yet. Yeah, I mean that introspect, retrospect, reflex, inflex, and you name it.
Yeah,
you just encapsulate the president's speech in a few words. But
sure,
let me say this. Yeah. Like you say, diction does matter inside the language, and the first gentleman had to carefully, kind of choose a word because not to like a farm in the run. Okay,
it's a statesman. It's a statesman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, statesman. Yeah. Exactly. Thanks.
And a statement from a president or
that's what I'm coming to, Dr. Tumbay.
Okay, quickly. Due to bearers, their policy statements. Yes. You understand? That is why, as a president or a political leader or a duty bearer, you must be very, very, very careful with your diction, your choice of words, because their statements are policy statements.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. So the irony here is the president is a PhD candidate for peace and conflict studies. And one of his chief interlocutors, one of his chief designers, very prominent and very key in government, the chief minister, is a professor of conflict studies. And even by you who do, maybe a model or two of peace and conflict studies, don't articulate, the framework in which somebody can try for make peace. Because in peacemaking, you don't have to be hypocritical. You have, to be prepared, for deliver peace when you say you want peace. So the way you reveal the president used kind of harsh words. He described it as a battle. That's kind of charged word, and describe others, like you say, a formidable duly registered party with millions of followers, recognized as such, as a terrorist organization that does not very well for the very millions of people that follow the organization. So the chief gentleman happened to be more divisive, if you will agree, because that's what I want for you to deal with again.
Yeah.
More divisive than trying to put a nation which is already hurting in this bust on the sides. The president could have done better with a speech, you know, here that would be more encapsulating, more encouraging, more embracing, more peaceful. But he didn't do that in the speech. And from an opposition point of view, as yours, you they show solidarity. When I say you in the plural sense, you party, because they are in opposition too. They show solidarity with another opposition party. And in short, you do not agree with the characterization by the president of a political party duly registered and recognized.
Yeah, thank you very much, my brother. To be very honest with you, any individual, we're very objective and very sincere, and whatever they do, I may not say that the statement or describing a formidable political party as terrorist is worthwhile, and I may not endorse that one. To be very honest, if a very formidable and a very big political party as APC can be described as shirts, so what about a third force political party, C4C? They can use more terrible dictions, more hard dictions to describe the C4C political party, because it's just a third force, the third largest political party in the world of parliament. If APC can be described in that manner, in that way, you understand? So I'm afraid, what are the adjectives or the dictions that we use on C4C when are just a third largest political party in the world of parliament? So I'm afraid, my brother, and I cannot endorse that description to a very large extent. I want to be very open here. I want to be very honest here. I want to be very, very candid, because my fear is, if APC, which is a very powerful political party, has been described as shit, and my party is just the third largest political party in the world of parliament, I'm afraid if the bazooka is being torn, or the RPG is being directed to C4C, I'm sure they will crush our political party with hard dictions than what they used on the APC. So I cannot endorse that one. I cannot subscribe for that one. I cannot fall for that one. I cannot endorse that one. It's too, the dictions, we are too hard. We are too hard. I cannot say that we are not appropriate, because I cannot demean the statements of the president, because I'm just a PR of a political party. But I want to be very honest as a citizen that I cannot subscribe, I cannot endorse the dictions used in describing other politicians and other political parties.
You made a very brilliant point, sir, and I think this is what will be appealing to others, because it's like the saying, they came for the first, the rest kept quiet. They came for the second, and people kept quiet. And they came for the third, and then people started, getting a little bit uncomfortable. But by then it was late, because when they came for the first, nobody spoke out. And then the second, and so on, knowing fully well that it's a continuing process, and you're certainly going to be the next. And this is what it sounds like. In this case, you are outwardly showing, and you, exactly. And you've just made a brilliant case. Go on, my brother. Go on, please.
My fear, when I listen succinctly and carefully to the message, the audio message of His Excellency, I listen to it repeatedly. And my fear is for spillover effects. What do I mean spillover effects? If APC have gotten that one, if APC have been described by the first gentleman using that kind of diction, so what else do I expect as a very small political party?
You've made that point, Dr.
I do not want to keep quiet. I do not want to keep quiet until things go bad.
Absolutely.
I want to make our position clear. I want to make our position clear that C4C cannot endorse that one.
Absolutely, because of the points that you've made clear. Because if such a powerful opposition with a larger number, many times yours can be accused of such, What about you? That's critical thinking. That's good thinking. That's foresightedness. That's fortitude. I want to ask one more question on the president's speech before I move to the next point, because I actually called you here today for two things, and I'm happy that you did take up the opportunity. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you just joining the platform now, we are talking to none other but the publicity secretary for the Eastern region of the third largest party in the country, which is the Coalition for Change, and is none other than the Reverend Dr. Moses Tumbay. Dr. Moses, by the way, your background look dark. Is there any way, because I know a lot of people begin interpreting differently. Any way you can get some kind of light, or is there some problem there? I mean, it's acceptable and understood.
This is another big issue. There's no electricity, but let me get closer to the solar lights. Take that book. Let me get closer to the solar lights.
Please, so we can see an outline. Yeah, so we can see an outline. So while the doctor they get to a little bit of light, let me just go to the last part of the president. Okay, seem to be a family man, and you can imagine the beginning of the kind in the background, no electricity.
The background. So you get to me now. There's light.
No, it's still that. Okay, there's a little bit of light. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, there's a little bit of light, and that's better. Yeah, that's a bit better. That's better, sir. At least we can see some contours. And they said the president's speech be made in two parts. One was for the domestic audience, and the other one was for the international audience. And the international audience part of the speech is when he begin use like charge words and critical words, such as terrorist. Because then subsequently, the president go on for say, hello, you hear me, sir?
I'm getting it loud and clear.
Okay, the president go on for say that this is a battle. He described them as a battle. So charge words that's coming from the fountain of honor, which make many people, decide for ask the questions, where's the sincerity? Whose side is sincerity day? Okay. So today, as we speak, as per we understand it, just like you say, it's been discussed at the usual places, attire base, etc., and it's outside social gathering the day. The president's speech, has there been an effect, because you already aptly describe them as policy when the first gentleman talk, which means that if it were a battle and this battle had to be won, immediately after the president spoke, there would have been actions that would have, been acted upon. Is this the case? The action not begin, for win the battle? Will you say?
Well, yeah, thank you very much. Like using looking at after the speech, the recent speech, and looking at actions being made so far, there are different views towards that. And there's something very clear I want to bring to the knowledge of the viewers, that he even went on to say, the president went on to say that they will use all state resources, they will use state resources to ensure that they win the fight. And when they talk about using state resources, it has to do with both human and other resources. You understand? It has to do with human resources and financial resource. You understand? Machinery and what have you. And when they talk about using the state resources just to win the fight, that's to tell you that he's going to make use of the police. He's going to make use of the OSDs. He's going to make use of the military. He's going to make use of the money.
The money, the finance, the taxpayers' money, everything has states, disposal.
It's gonna make use of state-owned institutions like the Office of the ONS, some other key institutions. You understand?
Internal affairs, the ONS, the CID, and you name it.
Look at it from a critical point of view. When he said in his speech that for them to win this war, they will even go to the extent to use state resources. And in that case, as a man that is very critically minded, who is following the national and international events, tells you that he's going to make use. As many people are perceiving out there, he's going to make use of the police, is going to make use of the OSDs, is going to make use of the military.
All right.
It's going to make use of the Ministry of Homeland Security Affairs. It's going to make use of some other institutions. If after the statement, if we are getting semblance of successes because of that statement, because the statement of the president is a policy statement, I may want to say maybe the only positive step that has been taken, but to some other people it's negative, get for do with in all the ratios that is waiting approval. And maybe that is only the development that took place. But people, there are different points of views. People.
Okay, would they encounter some serious? Yeah, we encounter some problems then because we guess the internet they become unstable, so we barely the area. And we want to cover one or two things quickly. Yeah. So let's move on to something else. Yeah. And this now a get for do with your party. The founder of the party, or at least the former chairman of the party, a very prominent gentleman who was one time the vice president of the country, who under some kind of means was dismissed. We're not even want to talk about, but we just want to create the attention of the viewer then for understand what we talk about. We go on for be the chairperson for the party where you represent. He end up for leave the party. C4C, the Coalition for Change. He end up for leave the party and go back to the party Usa Ibinde, where he left under, some kind of circumstances will not be kind of mutual, neither convenient, nor respectful. But he's gone back and left a party which he lead to parliament and make them the third largest party in the country. Waiting at the view of C4C, did Chief Alhaji Dr. Sam Sumana left with the blessing of the C4C? And what's at the position of the C4C right now as we speak in terms of the charismatic leader? We don't let them and go elsewhere. How do you see the future of the party without Chief Samson?
Thank you very much, my brother. I appreciate it, and for bringing a very relevant narrative like this. The issue of Chief Alhaji Sam Sumana, and it is crystal clear, it is glaring, it's not a secret that his original political party has been the All People's Congress, APC. He even served as the Democratic elected vice president for 7 to 8 years. But it was rather unfortunate he was expunged at a particular point in time. And he left the party and formed the C4C. And C4C is still going on strong. You understand? We have our leadership and we are focused and we are doing everything humanly possible to maintain the C4C. And the issue of Chief Alhaji Sam Sumana, going back to the APC, it is clear and straightforward. And one thing for realize as Sierra Leoneans, Chief Alhaji Sam Sumana gets in political rights. He has that right, he gets that free will as an adult for left any political party and join another political party. But the good thing here, Sam Sumana, they be pull under the APC, but when peace don't come, they call them back, there's a need for go back. There's a parable always Sam Sumana can say. He said they can ask for say, why wanna make palaver? But why wanna make peace? It does not make sense. And it was unfortunate as he said that he was expunged from the APC. But if the party deems it necessary now to call him back to the APC, I see nothing wrong about it. But one good thing about Chief Alhaji Sam Sumana, before going back to the APC, he came back to Kono and he held 2 days consultative meetings. You understand? He held 2 days consultative meetings with stakeholders, party stalwarts, and the general membership and the people of Kono District. Asking the people of Kono District, seeking their consent if they will allow him to go back to the APC, because APC is requesting him back to their party. And the people endorse is going back to the APC. People endorse, they supported. That's a huge statement you just made there, that APC and they encourage them for go back the other way. Sure, yeah. Okay, carry on, please. I mean, just want to capture that.
Yeah.
And in that meeting, the 2 days consultative meeting he held, there was a JY in attendance, and JY is one of the key players in the APC. JY was in attendance. John Ambasu was in attendance. We have Mohamed Bangura. Honorable Mohamed Bangura was in attendance. I think the chairman for Northern Region was in attendance. And some other great personalities of the APC were in attendance. And the meeting was held at the Fatima complex. And we are thousands of us we are at the Fatima complex. And I even shared some of the videos and the pictures, the consultative meetings, some of the pictures, some of the videos. And even after making the statement that APC is calling me back, they have requested that I go back to my roots, and I want to go back. And everybody shouted, Akune, Akune, we have endorsed your going back. Go, Akune, that is a Konowo, which means the aid. They are saying that Sumana should go back to APC, but they should make him the standard bearer or the flag bearer of the APC. That is the condition or the conditionality attached to the to the endorsement of his going back. The people said, yes, we are ready for you to go back, but we want you to take the leadership of the APC because Kono districts, by extension, the Eastern region, we have been deprived. We have potential individuals.
So again, you said something quite interesting where the public will be interested in. So Chief Sumana left with some kind of condition that the people will get the blessing for go, but only if he will be made the flag bearer for the All People's Congress. Did you get any iron cast guarantee for say this will be the case because there are rumors and things are dragging and etc.? Waiting, are you understanding? If you can fill in that for me, please. Okay, I think we guessed it's kind of frozen. So let me continue this talk and hopefully maybe we'll get them back. If we don't get them back, then we will just continue on this basis. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Den in our program. Today, the 10th of May, 2020, it's a Sunday, a beautiful day here where I am. And wherever you are, I bring greetings to you. We'll be talk to none other but the publicity secretary for the third largest opposition party in Sierra Leone, what happened for the Rev Dr. Moses Tumbay. He will explain a lot of things that were very critical. First, we start with dissecting the president in speech, and that did not go down well with them because it's like, okay, if this time a big party like APC with millions of followers can be labeled, the followers, the leadership can be labeled as terrorists. If we don't show solidarity with such a party today and criticize the speech of the president because it not show leadership skills, leadership ability, the Kumbra, the first gentleman, the statesman, the fountain of honor, but it decide for be divisive by casting away one side and say, this na cancerous cell, now the tumor in this, so we need to slice them off. But you speak to a huge number of people. So I don't know how's that going to work. But we'll be the talk to this man, will be the expatiate, and all of these things there for we, including how Dr. Samuel Sumana left the C4C, where he had formed, where he lead to be the third largest party. He left and go join the APC, where at one point was, according to the doctor, the identical word where he uses expunge, was expunged from the party. Quite a strong word. Doctors seem to understand dictum and the usage of it, and appropriately as well. So Dr. Sam Sumana left on condition, just the, try for paraphrase the money statement just shortly before he left, okay? And he left on the condition that he will be made a flag bearer. So I mean, just to ask him whether there was an iron cast guarantee because he's gone for a while, although APC no hold a convention, it for level finally determine whether he or promise with them in wash through or issue, we are yet to see and wait. But in the meantime, whilst we are waiting, there is so much talking here ongoing as to who potentially the flag bearer of the party will be. But this is not the subject matter for tonight, and I said a short broadcast, and we talk about many things. We talk about waiting the ongoing now the country will prompt the president for come and speak. The president really speaks, and when he speaks, it's difficult for understand whether they don't come together as a consequence of the speech the way he make or what he say, or become more divisive. So language being used by the president is kind of charged. I mean, we have to call it as it is. It's a battle. When you, the gentleman, say a battle, that's a kind of charged word within the context when they use them. And it also goes like there has to be a victory. You talk about your people. You talk about we are at battle with them. And then you talk about victory. And for win that victory, it comes at a cost. I know if you want to go into that, because that's more difficult, here for comprehend or for contemplate. Okay. And they also talk about people and being called terrorists. That's kind of strong word. And like the doctor been say, these people and are labeled as terrorists. Now people and we belong to a duly registered political party with millions and millions of followers all over the country. So that's difficult, here to kind of figure out exactly who that writes the speech. And I know they blame the person alone where write the speech. In fact, not to blame them at the play, but the idea that somebody writes the speech and we know say the president he edits the speech, because a lot of what the president wants can go into the speech. A lot of us say just write the speech and then they take an exam and he just go read down like one buffoon. No, it doesn't work that way. Most of what the president wants say they go into the speech. Again, speech writer, then he trusts them and they write something, but before they go read them, of course, they look at the outline, ask them what you want to put inside it, or what you go like, or this is a copy, and you look and then the copy is say, okay, I give you the green light, that's good, and then produce a final copy where they go and read. So the president also, they play a part in that speech. So you go say, this is what the president wanted, along with waiting in followers, they want to listen. Remember say, now social media, over the area, a lot of them, they say potentially things the way the president say eventually, which was, these things were being said within some circles where other people are kind of privy to, unfortunately. But back again to the country as a whole, in terms of security really they on the down. And one of the questions that Daniel Wabi want to ask the doctor, not for deal with the entire security situation, but rather, from what we understand whether he is scared. Because we know there are people who are scared now. Somebody just died now for Beirut. And what you really understand is this person died as a consequence. Most likely, I haven't seen the death certificate. We go show the cause of death, but we understand it might be something like cardiac arrest, some kind of heart attack. And this is not due to pressure. And the pressure was this person is supposed to attend court. And this court will be supposed to attend because people have been thrown into Pademba Road, left, right, and center. It's kind of worrying that when you're invited, you don't end up to come back again to your family. So as a consequence, and like I say, I haven't seen the report to say the final thing on the cause of death, but we just talk about these things the way they happen. Certainly, there's a deterioration. Not to me, they say this is just a fact, and it happened in the country. The president acknowledged that, and by his speech, he said we get for be hard on them. We get for hit them hard, and we get for hit them hard, who say he hurt most, because we have to take this thing back. We have to wage a battle on them. And this battle is a battle that has to be won. And for win this battle, what we have to do is to use everything at the disposal of government, which is A, the ONS, B, the security services, and you name it, the police, the army, the CID, all of the state apparatuses with the disposal of the president and the government. Now, in them will use for fight against their own citizens, which is tax-paying money. So we are waiting to see how this battle is going to be fought, and waiting at the lines, any parameters, because the president's speech being wide, it will get far-reaching and wider consequence. And this is what we take. And I say there are two parts to it. I keep repeating it. One was for the domestic audience for consume. The second part was for the international audience, where we get for talk about terrorists. You know how Western audiences, see terrorism. And not necessarily get for the international terrorism. You can get domestic terrorism. People where they incite, where they born, where they create chaos and anarchy or act for them are also known as local terrorists. And for deal with them, you need extreme measures. And what people also need for keep in mind is like the situation and the times are completely different. These times are not really normal. Let remember say there is a state of emergency. Under that state of emergency, I remember the earlier part I put on my social handle. I try for equivocate them with martial law, because of course the opposite of, not the opposite, the other side of state of emergency, there are two sides to it in my opinion. And I'm sure say we learned peers them go agree with this. In martial law, it's mainly within a military context, but it means the same thing. The constitution is suspended, no habeas corpus. You are, you're doomed. Anything can happen. The president can sleep if you get nightmare or you see you in dream that next day, you look scary. They can send for you in the morning, and they catch you and do anything to you. It's the same thing under a civilian rule, a state of emergency. Most things are suspended. The president is given extreme powers where he can use. That's what it means. With parliament, I talk, say, then rubber stamp, they accede, they acquiesce, to that. And later on, encounter, we say, no, well, we'll not be mean now. Then we say 3 weeks, then disappoint we, then come on. If you get independence, to rubber stamp, that will not have happened, regardless of who that can explain to we. Because you try for take the battle back for make we understand, say, well, I don't stand with that, I not be see that, not to show we be mean. But you were there. Why you not be come out and can't tell the salon people then, as proceedings will take place? Only after, your people and the EC, the twist and turn inside them, 12 months, and that's in place, which means that the president get extreme powers where goes unchecked because the constitution right now for does not exist in principle. It does not. So now waiting he want say and waiting he want do, how he want do, now so they go and prosecute them. So watch the narrative, watch the pattern. Now, remember say many things will happen. The president get the power, he put lockdown, he segregates people then, he organize a tracing team, he say people are not for come out, he declare a coffee order, all under the state of public emergency. We can understand that. But there's also another context, and I make Abby express apprehension on that basis some time ago, but people not been seeing because most of we not get the foresight, and they go again on the basis of trust, and then Moses law, then Trade law them. Somebody slap you, and then you turn turn the other side, you let them slap you again. But the only reason why you're able to turn the other side and slap you again, now because they not slap you very hard in the first place. Because if they slap you hard, you don't get the foot for team up. I wonder how you will turn the other side. We really need to understand these things. And then finally, now we see the president can call people a terrorist. They talk about a battle to be won. Because why? The president is in the driving seat at this moment. What I mean by the driving seat, he's always been there, by the way. But then if you get a constitution where you go get for abide by, despite heavy powers, the constitution is still there. Now this constitution is virtually non-existent. The president is the be-it-all and everything else. Now, the alpha, now the omega. So if they direct the state, the direction we want for let the state go. And at that is a last speech day. They go use everything at in disposal for make sure that the war is won. Now, having said this, Fambulem, we really need to understand, I am not calling, here for any violence. Me not a violent person, and in my political philosophy, I don't harbor, political violence. All I can advocate for is for reform. Reform will go better with people them. We go change the state of mind of with people them. It's reform, not violence. I don't incite and call and sit thousands of miles away and begin for say, go destroy facilities where people and for use. I call for let them go destroy them. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. That eventually you will do something for for pull governments na the way and make another government come inside. So when the other governments come inside, waiting they can't rule or waiting they can't use. Okay. So no, I don't advocate violence of any shape or form. I disavow them, I condemn them, and I use this public platform for say so. But equally so, there is responsibility on the part of government. Okay. There's absolute responsibility on the part of government. And many things that happen when the president for address we don't go unaddressed. Say justice delay is justice denied. And justice up to this point, they're only the dish them out to the affluent. In other words, the one that we're affluent, we're wealthy, we're well-to-do. Now then they get justice. Now then justice they go their way. The one that we poor, we daily, millions of us, working class Sierra Leoneans, poor some no jobs at all, that we back on top of all the pressure in life, they meet the stick of the law, the other side of the law. Now they go to court, now then they prosecute, now then they send na Pademba Road, now they go die day. How long will this continue? And because these are some of the problems. So you need to address some of these root problems, the root causes of the problems. If the economy is good, there will be no reason or little reason for some of the things that will happen, because people will be gainfully employed. Then get something for do, then get work for go do. That's responsibility of some kind. By the time you can retire, you deal with your family, or the fact that you're able for buy bag rest and put and down, able for pull plus house money and give you wealth, and you picking them able for eat 2, 3 of them, 4 of them, how many, whatever you get. And then you're able for a year, then they play and laugh or sit down and watch them. You know, you cannot engage. So activities which you go refer to as subversive or whatever, it's not going to happen because people are satisfied or near satisfied with the state of mind, the state of them being, because they are employed. It's the same thing in Western world where we are. The fact that I am employed, I therefore think about how they go work tomorrow. Now, Indian, I mean mind most, okay? For go do the job and get me money for can either pay me mortgage or pay me rent and pay me other bills and utilities them, watch me picking and go find and encourage them, pay school fee, and the rest are not school fee, other things them. That's what occupies your mind. But once then things they happen, the mind is left idle for begin to think about other things, and you can understand the pressure on that basis day. Fambulem, all the things that don't happen, and we need to understand the context. Now, under this administration, all of these things, they happen inside these 2 years. And I know they say somebody else not responsible in some part, shape, or form for some of the things that will happen. Of course, now it make, you know, when I call for people and for pull back from the brink of calling, you know, yeah, or providing or making available the environment which they become toxic politically, and almost you can feel the tension. You can basically cut them. You can, you know when you feel something. It does not only exist there spiritually, but it also did it physically. The temptation is there. The feeling is there. So I will therefore pull back away from the brink of them kind talk then day. So now we say when the president can speak, of course the president has to appear tough. And remember, say the president may get some reputation for being tough, a no-nonsense guy. This is the reputation where we know some of us back him at the earlier moment when he win the presidency, because it only makes sense for you back the president and support him when he win the presidency, because I've done say this the upteenth time. When the president succeed, the country succeed with good policies, we all benefit, because somehow it cost we in a different way, shape, or form with the remit money back home. Imagine if there were creation of jobs, there were people in the work. We could barely not send money, don't they? But unfortunately, the amount of money, if we understand the amount of millions where we send and how significant that is to the advantage of government, the money then they will send, then we go understand the power where we get. That we go understand, say we don't need for call for go burn host and burn this, that. There are ways that we can organize ourselves, you know, and use then advantages then they clearly for leverage, we opportunity them. We access to government. Well, I say access so that government listens to what we say. We can help for make policies, even though we're not there inside, or shape policies. Because our intention is great, we're not there. We just want the better for the country and the government. But the atmosphere belies the fact that it's been divisive. It's been divisive. There is one key factor. There is huge mistrust in the country. And any side who side mistrust there, of course, the potential for danger, for upheavals in a political sense, for anarchy and chaos is ever present. It's just a matter of time. So for building in there, they always start for build trust. Now, the Kremlin say, not mistrust, not hypocritical when you talk about peace. It has to be genuine. If you invite somebody, that invitation there has to be genuine. You don't invite them when he turn it back and then you stab them. That's hypocrisy. So the highest level You ask somebody for you trust, for their trust and confidence. And when they give you that trust and confidence, you get something else in the back of your mind. So what you for they preach about and they talk about, now how for be peaceful. But let me address this to some people where I can really talk there, like say, I know they say some people are not divisive. Of course, some people are divisive. Of course, some people do incite. We know that. But it not mean say, when people call for reform and change, mean say they're deceitful, mean say they not mean well for the country or the government. We need to understand the context of words. Reform, for example, is such a key, is such a key word in terms of which they talk about reform. That's what we call for. That's what we ask for. That's what I ask for on this platform. Okay. I duly recognize the government as my government. I duly recognize the president as my president and wish him well. But that does not mean if things are not going right, I cannot critique it. I cannot critique the government. Critiquing almost become like a crime, you know, or some kind of crime. Now the word down the way can come to me head for now. To some people, when they follow the president and the government religiously, because we know say with politics is kind of divided depending on which color you belong to. They not even believe say you can get people that way they right in the middle, where neither here nor there, or objectivity. You're willing to listen. You are there, but you're not entrenched. So you can listen. And if something makes sense, backed by evidence or rational enough, because when we speak, we appeal to the rational minds. Not the irrational minds, not the subconscious, where they go later on there. No, the rational minds. And you're able to process the data and it makes sense to you, and then you can have a change of mind. That's what objectivity is. I believe in something, but my mind's still open. I listen to somebody else who probably sabi more than me, or where will counter what I believe and support that with evidence. I wonder, why shouldn't I change my view? Why should I remain, you know, recalcitrant? Why? That's absolute nonsense. So this is the thing. There's plenty of problems that should have been addressed a long time ago, and they were not addressed, and I've been to speak to that. In the absence of not addressing these problems, you create the atmosphere such as what we see today. Justice delayed is justice denied. The failure for address key problems in the country, they morph into something else. And this is where we are today, in which there is no trust, no belief. And this is where the president in credibility, they erode. Again, in supporter, they not go like that, but una need for go sit down and try for figure this out, waiting exactly as they say and why as they say this. When the president been take over, now let me speak some sense into these people. When the president been just take over, of course, the election was fought in acrimony and it ended in acrimony. But in the end, the president assumed power, he was sworn in, the due process did take place. But after that due process, it is obvious that because it was fought on acrimony, a lot of things happened. But we get to remember that from that very beginning day, people then begin to sow the seeds of hate, the seeds of discord on both sides. It's not one side, on both sides. The All People's Congress refused to accept, say, we lost the elections. Most of the followers refused to accept, say, we lost the elections. The winners, the SLPP, did not do themselves good when, before they wait for a transition process for takeover, a smooth transition process for takeover, they organized brigades. Begin for go now ministry to ministry, before minister, they put in paper them together, same documentation where you get for turn over to you. You know, if you wait for like can turn over to you because now that continuation, we say development and continuation, not to event. Like say you come with your new idea, your new thing, without understanding, first of all, what you're taking over. That was done, and that was bad. Locks were changed so that the previous one will get access today. People that begin going to people like host, they organize on a state level. Organized a brigade where they go to people like us for go take motorcar because there were rumors that cars were being taken. That I mean they take motorcar and they carry them go away, which was happening, but at which level? And because you get the country, so because you get the country, okay, I think my guest is back. Because you get the country, you decide, say, go to the borders, because eventually maybe they go out. So now them borders, then now you need for police. Within, you still organize gradually. So as you look, you begin for take over their situation and they, without having for go and go broke people and do more and say, whether government motoka, you forget 3 motoka na give them. There is a process. So Fambul, and this is the thing. So from that point on, you begin for sow the seeds of discourse. I always talk about justice because in the absence of justice, they act for you find peace. That Lily Bobo, when they call Ibrahim, when I all remember how Ibrahim was tortured right before security services and some government officials. This is a fact. This is not being made up. Up to this day, that Bobo no receive justice. They almost kill him. I think they die. And I see him like me picking. It worried me so much. I shed tears for her. Okay. Why will the state encourage that? This is not one of the young people then for go torture somebody and we hear this fabulous story to a woman who not get no credibility at all, trying for going to the House of Parliament. Can you imagine waiting with Parliament turn out for be now? In the try for going to the House of Parliament and you don't have credibility. Ebo, you say the Bobo jump over a fence with all them man the way you say you get na you host, now you go wrestle them and you pull left na yan and then when I torture them, you know, you almost kill them and give them away as dead. And then you see the stone used for 4, 5, 6 hours, where you also at that time they be more protected than even the State House, because according to your own story, the chief minister was there, the vice president was there, and when I just imagine waiting them with in terms of security. The same woman go on for say, and this, you know, it go down at the history books, it go down at the Guinness Book of World Record for being one of the most fabulous, the L word with the capital, that the former president. I mean, you get to think, you know, because it's hard for let the other side comprehend that kind of thing there. But you get to think hard and try for phantom this. How real could this be? Are you serious? Are you in a normal state of mind that the former president be involved in ferrying people to go through stones at place? And you get people away actually won't believe that, or why then would you fabricate such a story?
Hello.
Yes, and welcome. Yeah, welcome back, sir. Thank you for coming back. And we will just go straight to the point. We will just go straight to the point where you were. And Fambule for the one that we just joined. They ask Unadia when I share this video again. Let us share and wide and far. The guests just don't come back, and for Una we just join. We get the PR, the publicity secretary for the Coalition for Change, C4C, Dr. Reverend Moses Tumbay. Doctor, we just ask you about, yes, we just ask you about Sam Sumana. You will expand on them. I guess you know Usa you left off. The question why we tried for ask you because you make it clear to me that Sam Sumana, Chief Sam Sumana, left with a blessing, okay, of the C4C party, but now with condition, he left with condition, and that condition there was it will become the flag bearer of the party, eventually the APC. So una give the blessing for make it go, but eventually it will become the flag bearer. But since then, we know different news. Waiting now una take up this time. Are you guys becoming restless? Say when the mandate will give them or the excuse will give them for let it go, and not seem for the work. Waiting una the yeri and waiting it go.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to apologize for the little break I do because one of the people they give me hell of time. Okay. The USA stop Matican from that point. We are not jittery. We not get. We are not jittery. We are not optimistic. We are not foreseeing evil to befall Chief Alhaji Sam S. We are optimistic that good efforts, good results, sound judgment, and victory will come for Chief Sam S very, very shortly. And when they get a lot of rumors, they're not going to ever make a flag bearer. He's not recognized in the party. The Secretary General not in good terms with Chief Siddiqui Sam S. But these are sweeping statements. I call them sweeping statements because they don't get any legitimate background. These are not issues where they come when are documented. As an intellectual, we follow something get for do with pen and paper. We follow something get for do with audio. Follow something get for do with press releases. Whether for do with writings, we get for do with interviews. And that is to say, all within the room also they fly around. These are distractors. These are distractors where they fear for the coming back of Chief Sam S. Because they know for say with the coming back of Chief Sam S into APC is a very serious battle for them. And the man stand a better chance to become the flag bearer of the great APC. And not only becoming the flag bearer, is a man that is determined to give APC victory 2023. And let me tell you, my brother, I'm a C4C man. If they give the flag, it's going to bring back APC into the governance, active governance of Sierra Leone. But the room also they fly around, let people make stories. Maybe people they say what they want for say. The man is calculated, the man is careful, he knows what they after. Let me tell you something, my brother. Chief Alhaji Sam S is a very careful politician. He's a guiding steps, he's a guiding thoughts, he's a guiding utterance. He's a very peaceful man. If you see the world make a global peace ambassador, even with all this discussion that happened in the country, he's taking his time. Now, man, no one fall by your weight. Now, man, no one put himself into shame. Sumana don't succeed for bringing respect to Konoma. Sumana don't succeed for bringing respect to the constitution of Sierra Leone. Sumana don't succeed for bringing respect into the face of Sierra Leone and to all Sierra Leoneans. He fought, he decided to say, what happened at Southern Sudan, Rak Mashal. When they bring him out as a vice president, what happened too? He go into the bushback. 4,000 people were killed, 12,000 displaced. Sumana said before me, people they run, made me run. He go to the Supreme Court, they ruled against him. He went to the sub-regional court, ECOWAS, they ruled in favor of him. As I speak to you, up tonight, the government will not get dying. And even this present government not recognize that it's not taken, but Victor Foy is getting. But with all this case, Sumana is keeping low profile. Let me tell you another shocking revelation. Information and not prior.
Okay. All right. We guess obviously.
It's very calculated.
Doctor, you need for repeat. You need for repeat that revelation. We hardly know you line in a break. You say you did make a revelation, so please repeat that revelation if you will, please.
Yeah, the revelation is to tell you that we are very optimistic. We are very sure, not even sure, cocksure, that Chief Sam S, the Sawe goes to, then go treat him with dignity and respect. And what you go for, what they anticipate in desire, in goal, it will be achieved and it will be announced. And what is that desire? The anticipated desire is for him becoming a flag bearer. That was the condition attached to his going back, where the people that endorse him. And let me tell you, there is 9 chances to 10 for Sam S to become the flag bearer of APC. And let me tell you, as they become the flag bearer of APC, there is a short victory for APC. APC will bounce back 2023 to become the major political party in governance, wherein ASPP will take the opposition seat, take it from me. Because Sam S get the width. You get the administrative width, you get the human resource width, you get the financial width, you get the political width, you get the connections, you get the know-how for take this country to a better place and for give victory to APC. And I want for rest assure everybody that regardless the rumors they fly around, let people they make rumors. Let people they say what they want for say. Sam S is not a small boy. He's not a kid into the politics. He has been the vice president for 7 to 8 years. He's sure of what he's doing. And I'm very careful. He's very, very careful.
So, Doctor, let me ask you this question. This is more or less a personal question, but within the same context we talk about. I mean, there will be those watching the interview tonight where to them, you may sound, like 2 things. One, you kind of very sympathetic to APC, and which means that, you're more APC than C4C. And then secondly, are you following individual, or is it the philosophy of the individual, the political stance, or is it because the way you speak impassionately about Sumana, It will appear as if
Yeah.
you are sort of obsessed, infatuated with the individual rather than the policies and politics of this particular man. What would you say to those two things if people were to ask you?
Your question shows that you have been in the field of journalism and you are getting mature and you know the business. Thank you very much. Very interesting questions, and they are very rational and very important to be addressed here. It does not mean that I'm sympathizing or supporting the APC, but by the look of things, there are times we will be very honest with yourself. We will be very honest in saying what is the prevailing situation in Sierra Leone. You know, Sierra Leone, it therefore took years for change that mentality. People vote on political line, regional line, and party line, color line. You know that one. And these are philosophies. When a side point of it all, even intellectuals, when highly educated people, they also vote on political lines, tribal lines, regional lines, colors, and what of the party lines. And to say there are two major political parties in Sierra Leone, that is the APC and the SAPP. And if he wants to become a president into Sierra Leone, 9 chances to 10, he either become a flag bearer of APC or SAPP for may become president. The NGC will continue for next month's money. The C4C will continue for next month's money. They will continue for produce members of parliament. But for become the president, you know, easy. That's the legal, that's the normal truth. That's the honest truth of Sierra Leone politics. And the other area, I'm not an APC philosophist, but to be very honest with you, I'm emotionally attached to Chief Alhaji Sam S. I love his philosophies. I love his principles. I love his ideals, his political ideas, his political knowledge, his political philosophies. And I love the way the man carries himself, the way he carries himself. He's a very peace-loving man. He's a man that is cool-headed. He's a man that is calculated. He's very decent. And he has better knowledge. He has experience. He has the wit. He has the knowledge to take Sierra Leone to a better place. So because of all these good adjectives ascribed to Chief Sumana, these are the things I've seen in this man. That's why I strictly follow. I strictly follow this man. It does not mean that I fancy the philosophies of APC or I'm in love with the philosophies and ideologies of APC, but a single man can transform a party. And Chief Sumana back to APC, be the flag bearer if all goes well. And I'm telling you, it's good to change the narrative of APC to a very positive one. And it's good to record a victory for APC. That's it. I believe in him. I'm attached to that man. I keep following him.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you.
In your absence, sir, I was just delving deeper into the story of disunity in the country and the rise of tension, the security deterioration in the country, the growing division in government and public life, if you like. And I use the keyword mistrust, to which somebody in the platform or the chat room has asked, what is the mistrust? So my question to you, first of all, would you agree that there is no trust in government, vis-a-vis government and the people, or the opposition and the opposition government? Would you agree with that characterization, that there is a deep degree of mistrust in the circles of government now?
Except one is determined.
Hello?
Well, I'm saying that, except your question posed is a very sincere one. Except somebody wants to economize the truth or sweep it under the carpet. But there's a very big at the initial stage when they started the peace effort, there was some amount of trust established. The APC party and they went as far as signing a communique. Gradually, trust was building up from both major political parties, the SAP and the APC. But from the look of things and from the recent speech of the president and the press release of the APC I've read out, tells me and tells every Sierra Leonean and those of you that are the diaspora that trust that they were building up has collapsed. Trust has gone all of a sudden, except they have to come back to the drawing board to rebuild that trust. You understand? To refurbish that trust, to reshape that trust. You understand? But the trust at this present moment has gone on just like that. They have to come together to work again assiduously, the APC and the SFP, to build that trust. But now what is prevailing now between these two major parties is
okay. I will have to let you. I will have to let you go, but I've got one last question, and I just want you to wrap up this interview. You've done extremely well for taking time off under difficult circumstances, no electricity, and using up your So, but just before I do, that question was deliberately asked because somebody in the chat room wanted to know. And Mr. Joe Solomon Talker, that goes to you. I wanted, the guest perspective on the issue of mistrust. And just to add to that, the mistrust is gone. Remember, for you to govern peacefully, there has to be trust on all sides. It's not about you alone, even though you are in governance. But how do you deal with other parties, whether in the fringes or in the mainstream of government? But now that is gone.
Sure.
You will think why Bintumani 3 was organized. It was because government wanted to build a consensus, a kind of trust, if you like, although the circumstances were not right. And coming forward, this guest tonight has already revealed to us that 2 attempts have been made by the All People's Congress to, make a crossover to the ruling party, SLPP. And that was meant to build trust, because trust is gradually disintegrating. In fact, it's disintegrating fast. That's why the president came out and spoke as such.
In fact, my brother, quickly. Brother, quickly.
Sure.
Yes, my brother, quickly. This I used to tell people that indeed, even on social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, I used to write, and I did tell them that APC must accept that SLPP is in governance, or the major political party, or the lead political party in governance now. But also, SLPP should bear in mind, especially the president, to extend olive branch to the opposition, main opposition, including other opposition parties. When other opposition parties should ensure and to accept that they are opposition parties. But also, the ruling government, you understand, or the major party, that is the SLPP, especially the president, should also not lose sight of the fact that they must extend an olive branch to the APC, the major opposition party, and all other political parties who are in opposition. The government must be seen very sincere and very objective, you understand, by extending an olive branch to APC and all other political parties. And when that is done, you can see everything will be moving towards peace. But when the government, the SLP-led government, is not ready to extend an olive branch to APC, there is going to continue to have recordings. You are going to continue to record political unrest, tensions, chaos, violence. That's not my wish.
Absolutely, it's not your wish. It's not your wish.
Quickly, if the oppositions are ready to accept that SLP is in governance or is at the forefront, also the SLP leadership, together with the president, should not lose sight of the fact that they must extend an olive branch to the other political parties. They must bring them on board, give them the opportunity, set the platform for peace.
All right. Again, we're having,
build institutions.
Unfortunately. So, Rama, Audi France. I hope everything is all right on the other side. Welcome to the program. Okay, Mr. Amadou Koroma. Amadou, how you do? I know people like you will be worried now because you've invested heavily in agriculture and
Which one? Not light, yes. Not light, but that's like it. The internet. Zoom. Now Zoom will talk correct directly.